Hello everyone, this is Kodiak, and today we're going to be going over some RDMS permissions and the like. What that is in terms of the game is who can use your stuff, what can they do with it, and that type of stuff. There is a tutorial on this, but it can be a little finicky to work with some of these systems, so just want to have a little bit of a video to kind of go a little bit more over them. So one of the most common problems people have is like, hey, how can I, help out, or how can I use your territory? How can, we share buildings, or how can we share vehicles and like? Those are all RDMS problems. So we're going to kind of go over this. So right off the bat, when I create my account, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come into here. I'm going to go into tags, and I'm going to create a tag here called Kodiaks. That's for all my accounts. I want them all to have permissions. I want them all to. That tag is going to be named Kodiaks. You can also create other accounts. So, let's just say we have like another one called MH. Whatever other tags that you want to have. Another one will be like skill apply. That type of those types of permissions and otherwise. You can create as many tags as you need access to here. Under policies, that's where we basically want to go ahead, and that's where we'll do this. So again, we'll look at the policies name, and we'll just say Kodiaks, because those for all my accounts. I would come into here and I type in Kodiak, V, um, Kodiak, RS, whatever Kodiaks, for things. This is where you would put the names of the people that you want to give rights to. Here's where we put rights. And for this one, I'm given, Kodiak will have access to everything. I want all my alts and all my other characters to have access to do completely everything. Top to bottom, I want them to be able to build on my territory. I want them to be able to deploy my territory. I want them permission to do everything right off the bat. So we're going to add that here. I'm just clicking as we go. Be nice if there was some sort of checkboxes, but we'll just click, click, click. Okay, and then here's where we select that pre-tag tab. So we got Kodiaks. Um, so we'll have that, and then we'll do Kodiak V just to see we have it. So we got Kodiak V, we got Kodiak RS. Any other Kodiak accounts that I have, I can add to this. Now I'm going to save policy. Once I have that policy, now I need to apply that to my territory. And how we do that is we come over to my territory, and under advanced, there is set territory rights. So here under this, I will add the tag Kodiaks. And then now this territory has the Kodiaks tag to it. And if you want to add another one, let's say MH, let's say you had, specific things like anybody in MH can come over and build on my territory, let's say, or anybody can come on over here and can, um, gather resources on my territory. This is really big. For example, let's say you don't think you're going to be playing anymore and you're like, okay, well, this game really isn't for me. I tried it out. I'm kind of done with it. Give a tag, add everybody in the guild or just specific people. You can also do organizations. So for example, if we come into here under those same permissions, instead of doing this, we could do mostly plague, and you can do the whole organization. So now they're under the same thing. You can do all that. So in this case, we're just going to keep this to Kodiaks. We would have a different permission for MH in here. So now this territory has the Kodiaks tag. What we would need to do is we need to refresh the territory to refresh the rights. And again, that's refresh territory rights right there. Boom. Now, if another one of my accounts comes over and it can't gather the resources, like it comes over and it gets a message saying you don't have permission to do this, they will also have to come over and also come to advance and then refresh the territory rights. And then it'll, instead of saying like my territory, it'll say whatever other access that they have to it. It'll go from green to red, for example, and then it should refresh. So that's kind of like a real basic on how to do territory rights. You kind of want to set up the tags, and then you basically want to assign permissions based off of the tags. Um, Now, something that really trips people up with constructs and permissions is not understanding the difference between the core and the construct. While the core is the base of the construct, it is not the construct. The actual, so for example, up here on our party bus, you can actually come up here and, like, if you were to come up here and advanced, set element rights, add, Kodiaks, saving, saving continue, saving close, that is not the same as the ship. That is the element rights. So this is set element rights, not set construct rights. And so again, you have to come to the construct and do advance and set construct rights, which you can see doesn't have that MH tag that's there. Even if I were to come to this element and then actually refresh element rights, it's the same thing. It's still, the construct does not have that MH tag because again, this is just that element. Um, and that's also something, again, that kind of really trips people up, is like share element with friends, share element with organization. That still doesn't set the permission for the overall ship. So like if you were like, oh, I want a rook to be able to, come on in here and have a seat on the couch and watch, this lovely screen thing, and you come to the element, share elements, and share with friends and share with nearby players rook, he won't even be able to board the ship because he doesn't have permission to board the construct. So that's something to understand, is that the issue is understanding that the construct is the ship, not the core and not the elements. And you can access it, as you saw, like if you come up here you can do construct and then click advance and then access that. I like to keep it simple. If I'm going to set ship rights, I target the honeycomb on the ship if it has any, and that's how I do it because it's very simple. You can see it's a very compact menu. We got construct. I can come in here to construct, advanced, set construct rights, Kodiaks, boom, done. And then, again, once you're done, come out, refresh construct rights. And that's kind of the big key with that, for this. Now, occasionally you're going to get one of the features of this game is you can actually apply skills to items and they get a bonus. So, for example, if you see, in this particular case, I have a capacity bonus of 100 from 128,000 with plus 25,600. The other characters may have other bonuses, like I will have a character that will have maximum inventory. With his container proficiency, this will be maxed out to 5, so it'll be plus 50% storage on the entire container. Now, if I apply skills, so we come to the construct, reapply talents on this construct, it will apply to every single item. So, for example, this construct would be improved by 50%. This element would be improved by 50%. This container element in here, so this chest would be 50%. The ones down below, all of those, everything on here without specifically selecting it will be improved by 50%. So that's quite nice. You don't have to come here and you don't have to click on each item and do it. But the problem is in order to give somebody permission for that, the permission that actually governs that is build construct. And giving people access to build construct is dangerous because they could be like, oh, I can build on your construct, huh? Okay, well, I'm just going to come in to build a construct and, take your, I'm going to take your DSAT and steal it from you. Oh, I'm going to take the rest of your items too. So like this anti-grav generator, that's very expensive and, it's a very higher tier item. I'm going to take all your other stuff too. So like giving them build access is very dangerous. But that's the access required to go ahead and construct and reapply talents. So you really only want to do that with people that you trust, such as in the guild and otherwise, that are not going to like steal your stuff. Otherwise, the way you would do it is the other permission is edit elements. So you give them the right to edit element, and you have to give them the right to board construct. Because if you don't give people the right to board construct, what will happen is they're going to get over to here, and they're going to just like bounce on an invisible barrier, and then they'll never be able to like actually get to those containers down at the bottom that we saw or anything else like that, right? You can do the construct, but like you can see, even though I right clicked on the element, it's not actually giving me the element to improve until I got close enough. So it's one of those things where it's like, if they can't get close enough, they can't modify the element. So you will have to give them board access, but then they improve. Then you can like, for example, let's say they do the engines. Look, they're going to have to go through, and it's like, elements, come over to here to elements, and then, advanced, reapply talents on element. So boom, so that one's improved. And then, again, so it's kind of tedious, and some people may be like, no, I'm not going to do that, especially because like, for example, you can see all these wings that are here, um, and then all the other spaceship parts and stuff like that. All those have improvements under piloting, and then like flight support technician and flight element handling, thrust to retro engines, brakes, adjusters. Then you have support pilot, which or the flight technician, which is element handling, which is engines, hover engines, airfoils. So there's a lot of improvements that you can make to deployed items on particular ships, and asking somebody to go through and improve like every single adjuster on a ship when you have like 20, 30 adjusters, some of which are somewhat hidden, and then you also have like things that are retro rockets, trying to go through and improve, hundreds of elements, which, we can see that here. If we go under the parts list, you can see, for example, adjuster L, there is 22 of them. There's 14 retro brakes. There's just a lot in general for all those materials to improve. So in a case like that, they might just be like, nah, man, you got to give me build access. But again, I personally, you kind of have to think of like kind of like an Eve mentality. I would not trust people you don't know, um, and that includes sometimes people in alliances, because again, we know them, but you know, anyways. So just be very careful about who you give build access to, because again, they absolutely could steal whatever they want off the ship once they have build access. Um, Same thing with with the elements. If it's something as simple as like cargo containers, and you're like, I only have 2 containers, they shouldn't have a problem with that. Um, but if they want to improve the rest of it, just get somebody, one of us. There's a number of us who will have piloting skills and piloting improvements, and we can do that, and we can come on by, and we'll edit your ship and just be like, okay, no problem. Construct, reapply, you're done. It's the same thing for your base as well. So like for example, if you have a base and let's say you have mining units on a platform, something you may want to consider is you can build a different core for mining units and whatnot. So for example, if we come over here and we build, you can see that the actual core for this building, which we tore this down as part of a thing, but like that's that core. You may want to build like a separate core like right next to it that has your mining units on it, and then give them access to that construct. But you can't share storage between constructs, so you'll have to have separate storage that the ore pounds into. So there's some considerations there. It's the same thing for industry. Your industry buildings, whether or not they have access to improve the industry buildings. Again, just be careful who you trust, because somebody in chat may be like, yeah, I'll improve all your stuff, just give me build access, and they come through and they take all your large miners and they take everything else that they have access to. So that's kind of RDMS permissions and how those work. Probably the best way to apply it, again, for like a building construct, advanced, set construct rights, Kodiaks. Okay, now all my alts will have access to this. Um, Same thing with everything else. And then, again, just familiarize with which permissions do what, so that way you're not giving people over access to things. Boarding a construct, building a construct, consulting your wallet, probably not great. deploying items on your construct. There's a variety of things that they can do, and you definitely want to watch that, especially if you have different people and whatnot, and do all that. So that's kind of a RDMS basic tutorial, and you should be good to go. If you have any questions, as always, just put them in Discord, and we will answer them and get them as we see them.